This Hy-Vee Perks 250 DFS Picks episode of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. You can win up to 325 times your entry with their new Pick 8. Sign up with our promo code RACESGPN to claim your special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code RACESGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Get the best data-driven props and picks from Rhythm. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you asked me stupid questions. But since I'm on probation, I suppose that's improper to say as well. If you could talk about racing things, we could talk about racing things.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
The show that specializes about talking racing things. It is the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He's Cody Zeeb. I'm Rod Villagomez. Closing in on the end of the week. I know that our episodes got pushed back about a day, so the end of the week now is on Saturday for you guys, which apologies, no apologies. But yeah, I think Saturday extra bonus pod is going to be a fun way to end the week. Also, want to apologize real quick for not putting yesterday's episode out on Spotify on the main feed. If you could only see what is going on my computer at any given moment, you'd try to figure out how I do anything, how I get anything done, let alone publish episodes. So apologies to all of you out there. It's out there now, obviously, and this will be out there too. So Cody, bail me out.
It happens, Rod. It's okay. Busy man. Obviously, you got some Army travel coming up as well. So trying to get everything done around there and have family time and get all this done. So apology accepted. You're forgiven. But if it fucking happens again. Oh, wait. Just kidding. Sorry.
See me in my office. See me if I get called to Cody's office, sooner rather than later, it'll be the NASCAR Gambling Podcast with Cody Zeeb and some other guy who could be relied on to do that.
We're not doing that, Rod. You're safe.
All right. So as part of the progression of this week, of course, we are breaking down the Xfinity Series and the DFS and Underdog side of the house. And so, we did the Cup Series yesterday, and we knocked out the DFS and Underdog for that. And then the structure of tomorrow's episode, we'll actually have some bonus picks for you. We're going to give you some bonus betting picks. We're not going to give you quite as many. We're not going to try to overload you. We're going to try to at least save your pocketbook a little bit because I know you're going to want to be in on all of them. But yeah, we'll just have some bonus pick for you on Saturday's episode.
Yeah, that's I love it, Rod. Going to be a lot of fun. Nice to have a little extra. Obviously we missed the recap show and that kind of sucked, but that's how things go. Glad we're able to, and that's what's nice about the bosses. They let us kind of do our thing, get a few extra bets in there. There's some stuff that wasn't out earlier in the week. We record on Tuesday and sometimes things come out after, so gives us a chance to go through some things. Lines change obviously and whatnot too, so kind of touch on some bonus stuff. So I like it.
Yep. And so also one of the big pushes was do one new thing. This is our one new thing. We're doing a bonus picks episode, so that'll be our one new thing. We'll see how that goes, and then maybe we'll figure something else out later on down the road to make it more permanent. Not that we need any more on our plate, but we'll definitely keep putting more on. Look, this is like a Thanksgiving buffet, okay? All that food looks good. You should not be eating every single thing that's out there.
Rod. I feel like I'm being attacked right now.
Hey, brother, you're preaching to the choir at this point.
I know that I'm full, but God damn, that food was good. There's more up there. We'll go back and get another plate, right? Well, we can work it off in January. It's fine.
I mean, there's still plenty of turkey left. If I take another few helpings, no one's going to notice. I'll notice later, but
You know, shit
well,
happens.
all right, yeah. So we are going down, like I said, the Xfinity, DFS, and Underdog. So we'll do that. But I also want to tell you first about our Circa Millions. The Circa Millions announced they're giving away $16 million in guaranteed prizes for Circa Survivor and Circa Millions. You want to sign up for that right now? Go to Vegas and then play anywhere from the world, anywhere in the world, anywhere around the world with footballcontestproxy.com. Code SGP to get $50 off. That's footballcontestproxy.com. Promo code SGP. Cody, the Xfinity Series going back to the Iowa Speedway for the first time since 2019. Of course, they've been there the most recently out of everybody in the all three series, right? Cup's never been here as part of an officially sanctioned Cup race. Truck drivers, it's been a minute, but Xfinity coming back 2019. It's funny that they took a few years off of this. I mean, I get you're trying to keep it fresh, but this was a track they were coming to regularly, a couple of times a year even, and then they just took time off.
Yeah, I guess I don't really know the story behind that and what happened, and that could have been a COVID thing, right? Because 2019 was the last season, so then a lot of things changed with COVID and everything, and so who knows what the deal was there. I mean, and NASCAR has owned this track too. I mean, they've owned it for a long time. It was originally built to be a NASCAR Cup Series track. The Cup Series never ended up coming, so obviously they're coming there now. But yeah, glad that we get the Xfinity Series guys on Saturday. We've seen a lot of names that we really know now win here in Iowa. Stenhouse has multiple wins, Keselowski multiple wins. Guys like Eric Jones have won here in Xfinity before. So who's the next guy to add to that list? Is it future JGR 19 driver and John Hunter Nemechek or Chandler Smith or somebody else? Who knows?
Christopher Bell, the latest to have done it back-to-back. So, yeah, 20 years of racing here before they called it up quits. Probably, I think you're right, probably because of COVID, and then now they're resurfacing again in the Xfinity Series, obviously because we could not get that race in Canada, so they had to switch gears, move to Iowa. That's fine. We'll take it. We love a good, not quite so short track, but not quite as not short track race. It is the Hy-Vee Perks 250. We're set for 250 laps around this 0.875 mile paved track for 218.750 miles. 250 laps, Cody. That is a decent amount of laps to try to figure out who's going to lead it. But I don't know that we're going to get somebody that's going to run away with this race and lead a lot of laps. So there's room to be able to pick within these top guys, in my opinion.
Yeah, it could go either way, right? I could see where this turns into a track position race. You got to be up front, and one guy leads a ton of laps. But we've seen a lot lately where it kind of goes in shifts and spurts, right? Where somebody will lead for a little bit, then we get the next cycle or the next strategy or bad pit stop, and then this guy leads for a while, and it shifts around. So, yeah, I think it could go either way. I think there's going to be at least one guy, obviously, that leads quite a bit of laps, potentially two guys. So you're going to want to get both of those. And, yeah, it's going to be a lot about, this is, again, we're getting back to a shorter track, so you got more laps. We've been on a couple of weeks of road courses here in Xfinity, so got to shift your mindset now. It's getting more about laps led, finishing position, and then, of course, the place differential will make a difference as well.
I say that, and then as I looked back, Christopher Bell led 234 laps on this one. But then the race before that, it was split up pretty evenly. There was a bunch of folks that led some laps, 50s and 40s and whatnot. So, I mean,
yeah, and like Xfinity Series is so different now than it was in 2019. I mean, that yeah, you still have kind of the dominant teams here, but I don't know. It feels like a much more competitive series, especially at the top. You've got a lot of big players. I mean, there's 5-6 guys you can make a strong case can win this race, dominate this race. So I think that's what makes it fun.
It certainly does make it fun. So like you said, I mean, there's a lot of folks on here since the last 3 years that have not had any experience on here in the Xfinity Series. There's some old guys like Justin Allgaier, like Cole Custer, even like John Hunter Nemechek. I say old, but they are still kids compared to me. So they're all still, they've got plenty of experience on this track. It's going to be a crazy mix of everything. A lot of times we're just trying to figure out what's the closest track. Can't do it. So I don't know. We'll figure it out. But yeah, we've got some great DFS plays for you. And as we do, we'll start with our high price drivers. Then we'll move down to some mid-tier drivers, then some low price drivers to save you a little money and build out your DFS slate. So Cody, Wait, first of all, who are the notable entries? I know that we don't normally do this for the DFS, but there's some notable entries for this one.
Yes, there is, Rod.
You love how I put you on the spot all the time?
I do love how you do that.
This is for calling me in your office. That's what you
okay,
get.
there's 38 entries for this. Daniel Dye is going to be in the 10 car for Colleague. Brett Moffitt in the 19 for Joe Gibbs Racing. We kind of talked about him a little bit on the betting episode yesterday. Local kid out of Iowa there. John Hunter Nemechek is back in the 20 car for Gibbs. Corey Hahn coming up from the Truck Series. They've obviously got like 3. They're like IndyCar. They got 3 months off between races. But they're on a big week right now, so he's coming up to race the 26 car. Oh, that's another guy who could potentially be in line for that 19 car, Rod, in the Cup Series. We talked about that yesterday a little bit too. And then Ross Chastain is in this race, but very notable, he is in the 92 car. Someone might argue that that's a good thing in a little bit, but I would argue the opposite of that. So just remember, he is in the 92, not in a Colleague 10 car or any better car than the 92, Rod.
If you like conflict, go back, listen to our Xfinity episode yesterday. There was plenty of conflict. Like yesterday's show was a drama. Where most of our shows are comedy.
We need to argue more because it's a lot of fun when we disagree on things. I always enjoy it because we can have good conversation and poke fun. I did see our buddy Seth Wolcock from IBT Media over there commented on our YouTube video, which you can do as well after they're up. We love the comments after. Said he was also in on the Ross top 5 with you. So hashtag Team Rod for Seth. So it's all right, Seth. I see you. I got you. Here we go.
This is why Seth and I see. This is why we sometimes can't do shows, Seth and I together, because we're both on the same things a lot of time. A lot like you and I, but we don't normally put a show doc together the way we do. So at least we know when we're on the same.
Yeah, we can avoid the same things if we try.
Absolutely love it. Okay, speaking of that, we are going to give you some of our favorite DFS plays. But before I do, I would like to tell you all about our friends at Underdog Fantasy. We're going to give you a full bucket load. Full wheelbarrow load, whatever they use in Iowa, we're going to give that to you full of our favorite underdog picks at the end of the show. Pick 8 is now live for the NBA Finals. Create an entry with up to 8 picks, and Underdog's going to automatically double flex that entry. You can miss up to 2 picks. This is clutch and still win your entry. It's not, you don't have to be all or nothing. This is actually a chance where you can maybe make the wrong call on 1 or 2 and still win your entry. With more picks to make and extra ways to win, the excitement is higher than ever. And the best part, you can win up to $325, your original amount. Plus, you can now use specials and boost on all flex entries. Cannot wait to make my pick 8. We're definitely going to be giving you all of our favorite picks in just a second. Don't miss your chance to try it out before it's gone. Sign up with our promo code RACESGPN to claim your special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code RACESGPN. Well, Cody, before we get to all of our favorite underdog picks, we'll get through our DFS plays for this slate. Who, my friend, is your high price driver this week?
Shout out to Underdog, by the way. Got those Xfinity plays up nice and early for us this week, so we will have the opportunity to talk about those on this show, which is great. But first up, Rod, we're going to the DFS side of things. I am going with John Hunter Nemechek, 10,800, near the top of the board. Justin Allgaier is the top guy. John Hunter is the next guy. But, Rod, I think you have to play John Hunter this week. Talked about him on the betting episode yesterday. Look, if you open up his game log and you look back, okay. Right? That's basically, that's his game log I read for you. But here's the thing with that. 26, 26, 26, 26. That was in a JGR car. And then 26, like a lot of these races were in that 26 car, much different than the Joe Gibbs Racing car. So people are going to click on this and be like, well, he hasn't done really that much good for you. But, Rod, when he was at Las Vegas in this car for JGR, and if you ask Eric Almirola, these cars need help on the 1.5 miles. Maybe not so much if John Hunter's racing them. 100.6 points that day. Started in 12th, quickly raced his way to the lead, led 99 laps, 44 fastest laps. John Hunter Nemechek is that guy. So it's very important to note he's been in that 26 car for a lot of those races, and it just, although I'm going to make an argument for the 26 car in a little bit, it just doesn't quite live up to being what these JGR cars, what this 20 car is that he's in this week. Go back to last season when he was full time over in the Xfinity Series for JGR. Led 137 laps at New Hampshire, kicked everyone's ass, finished second at Richmond, sixth at Phoenix. Great days on all of those comp tracks. Expecting that from John Hunter this weekend. Again, yeah, we get it. The Cup Series has not been good. The 42 Legacy, they're struggling. But John Hunter Nemechek in these JGR cars in the Xfinity Series shows up to kick ass. He's going to do that on Saturday. Give me John Hunter Nemechek, 10,800.
I do, and I think I said something about it too on the betting episode. Whereas I do like the John Hunter Nemechek thing. Obviously, having experience on this track is going to go a long way. But we know the car's a little different now than it was in 2019. We know the drivers are different. We know there's a lot more drivers that are out there that are younger, that are hungry, and everything like that. But I think in this instance, especially in DFS, you're going to have to play him if he does end up going off. I mean, if he leads like 150 some odd laps and you don't have him, then your day is pretty much sunk. So,
yeah. And real quick too, before we get into your play, let me make sure I know what your play is. Okay, that's what I thought. I did want to just touch on Justin Allgaier real quick. He is the most expensive driver at 11,000. We didn't talk about him yesterday in the betting episode. We're not going to talk about him today, but that's not an indictment on him not being good. Look, he was fucking great at Phoenix. Very fast car. Should have won the race. 7 laps to go, blows the tire. Probably part of the reason that we're not betting on him or playing him here. He seems to be more risky than some of these other guys at the top of the board as far as the odds go, as far as the DFS stuff goes, just because so many things go wrong. But on the other hand of that, Justin Allgaier could come out and lead every single lap of this race and win, and I don't think anybody would be shocked. So even though he's not been one of our official plays yesterday or today, I just wanted to bring him up and mention that because he should be extremely fast here. He should be good here. But again, when it comes to the betting angle of things, when it comes to the fantasy angle of things, it's not always just about picking who's going to be one of the best cars because, yeah, of course he is. It's about, balancing numbers and prices and all of that in with it. Our buddy James hit me up today and he was like, hey, trying to make a pick in their they have a work fantasy pool or whatever. It's like Keselowski or Buescher. Well, I bet on Buescher in the Cup Series episode, Rod, but if I'm just picking one of them straight up this weekend, yeah, give me Brad Keselowski. But the reason I picked Buescher in the show, because the price was better and you're getting better value and all of that. So I think that's, again, I've been saying that a lot lately, but I feel like it's important to keep reminding people of the aspects that we're kind of looking at this at. And I wanted to just touch on Allgaier since we didn't really bring him up.
No, and that's a good point because that's obviously anybody. Look, we can all sit up here and just give you the top people at everything and then just make a case for that as well, which is fine. There's a place for that. And then I respect when you do that. But when we pick guys like, and just use a couple of weeks ago as an example, right? When we were picking the road course wins, SVG, Allmendinger were the top 2 on the board. Now, normally we don't tend to always pick the top guys on the board because it doesn't work out that way. But in this instance, it was like, listen, you got to take SVG. The dude's going to win, right? And he won. You got to take SVG again. He's going to win. He won again. Like, Allgaier does not have that. He's got the potential to win, but so do other guys in this instance, right? Yeah. Where SVG, he was going to crush the field, and that was just the way.
It's the same thing as Larson at times, where Larson is, plus 300, plus 350, and we don't pick him a lot. Massive on him this week because I got him at 750, I got him at 700. Like, yeah, but when he's a lot shorter of odds, like, sure, he could go out and kick anybody's ass any week, but he's also a big risk, big reward guy, and it can go either way. Kind of feel that same way with Allgaier, number being so much shorter. I just trust John Hunter more. That's kind of why I'm going in that direction. But again, felt like it was good to talk about him.
Yeah, and if I'm not on Allgaier, then there's something.
Yeah, if Rod's picking a JGR driver over a Joe Gibbs or over a JRM guy.
And I am too. I'm picking Chandler Smith.
Yeah, that's it. Allgaier's leading every lap winning this race.
And that's fine.
Rod's off him.
I looked at his price and I could not pull the trigger on it for you guys. I could not in good conscience tell you to spend up $11,000, even though you probably should have him in one of your lineups. My official play is going to be Chandler Smith, $10,500, a $500 relief in this instance. Honestly, I really made kind of a short case for him in the outright section in the betting. And it was because it's Chandler Smith. If you've heard us talk once, if you've heard us talk a million times, we've talked about how good, especially Cody at length, how good Chandler Smith is, how good his potential to be is. He lived up to that potential at Phoenix, where he started in the outside pole, won the race. started 4th in Richmond, won that race. 3rd at Martinsville, 7th at Dover. All of these tracks that are not a mile and a half, not a road course, not a super speedway, but not necessarily a short track either, right? These courses have their own idiosyncrasies. So does Iowa. He can run on these tracks very, very well and have great days. Also, from the fantasy aspect, because that's good for the betting aspect, from the fantasy aspect, he's the highest average fantasy points per race this season. 43.6, leads everybody. He leads Allgaier by 3 points in this category in terms of fantasy points per race. So $500 cheaper for the guy that's leading this right now. You got to love it. 41 points last week. He had a bad couple of stretches there where he had 18, 10, and 20, or negative 18 rather, 10 and 21, but 39 at Dover, 87 at the Dude Wipes race right there, right where he won at Richmond. So again, he's getting you solid points each and every week. And why you don't really buy the swings is because you look at the average of this, right? 43.6. You know you're probably going to get a floor from him of about 40 points. Would you rather have 50? Yeah. Would you rather have 60? Sure. But at least if you know you're going to get 40 points from him, you can start to build the rest of your lineup around that. And again, Chandler Smith can come out. He can perform well for you in fantasy. He led 88 laps at Phoenix. He led 76 laps at Richmond, 74 in Las Vegas, where he had a 3rd place finish as well. So we know, and we've already talked about it too in the betting episode yesterday. We think Toyotas are going to perform well here because of the fact that, well, I mean, you can go back a few years back into the history of this track and look and see Toyota has actually had some success. They've won in the Xfinity Series 3 out of the last 5, and then actually 4 out of the last 6 races on this track. That was the Truck Series. 3 out of the last 5 still, though, for the Xfinity Series, and then 7 out of the last 9 that they've ended up winning. So, or 5 of the last 7. It is Friday. Math is horrible. Speaking is horrible. But let's just say Toyota's been successful on this track. Christopher Bell, in particular, has been the leading Toyota on this one for the last few years. So, Chandler Smith, 10-5. I feel like taking the $500 relief from Allgaier is a good play in this one.
Yeah, I like it. It's same argument as yesterday. A little bit scary because he's been off the last few weeks. It's been rough for him for a little while, but the 2 most comparable tracks we've been to this season, he wiped the floor with everybody and won both of them. So take that into account. These JGR Toyotas are fast, Rod. I'll say it till I'm blue in the face in Xfinity Series, but they are damn good, especially on this type of track. So I'm not going to argue with you on Chandler Smith.
And we're just hoping that a lot of people are feeling the same thing. Like, I don't know if I can, but
yeah. And that's the thing too. I think Allgaier is going to be extremely popular this week. I think that people are going to be back and forth between John Hunter, between Chandler. I don't think they're going to be, they're still going to be popular because they're going to be good, but I think people are going to second guess them a little more. And maybe playing both of them is the right answer. Maybe they'll split these laps led and finish 1-2 at the end of the day and really score you a solid DFS day.
I would absolutely love it if that happened. All right, we'll give you our mid-tier drivers, but let me tell you first about Rhythm. If you're betting on the NBA playoffs, then you need to download Rhythm with all their playoff props and their player props. Rhythm is a prediction and projections app that makes data and analytics in sports betting easy. Maybe not saying it, but definitely researching it. Rhythm's predictive models were born from the brains of MIT data scientists and quants with over 3 years of data that help drive you to better AI-backed betting decisions. Prop predictions are paired with trend graphs so you can see for yourself whether or not the prediction has meat, making betting easier for sports bets or DFS picks. One of the things I like to do with Rhythm is to use it to unearth some gems, right? Rhythm was on Tatum under assists and rebounds the other night when the world and Twitter said bet his overs. The robots, the overlords, they know. From superstars to bench players, Rhythm finds the best player prop lines, all backed by best-in-class data without you needing to endlessly scroll a sportsbook or look at multiple sites for trends and predictions. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. You hate buying tickets. I know you do. It's never a pleasant experience. It's not something that you go wake up in the morning and go, you know what? I really want to go ahead and shop for tickets today. And that's not how it works. I know you want to go to the event, but shopping for tickets makes it horrible because most of the times when you go to these apps, you don't know if you're getting authentic tickets. You don't know if you're getting the best price, especially if you're trying to buy them last minute. You just don't know. And so it gets stressful. And so you start to throw things and you throw your phone and you break your phone. You got to pay free, whatever. Anyways, download Game Time. It's going to take away all of the stress of all of this. They're going to give you the lowest prices on these tickets, even if it's last minute. They're going to make sure that those tickets are guaranteed and authentic. And not to mention, you don't got to try to grab that iPad or that laptop to try to buy those tickets to make it easier for you. It's all made for your phone. It's all right there in your hands. You can take care of all of it. You get those last minute deals. You even get flash deals, right? Where they give you more exclusive in-app deals. And then you get zone deals where you can pick the zone and let the app pick your seat. All in pricing means you're never going to be surprised when you go to the checkout menu. And then, of course, you get those lowest prices guaranteed. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code CFBX for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create that account, redeem code CFBX for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. You ever just give yourself anxiety when I do these ad reads, sometimes I build up the anxiety in myself and I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to do this.
I do nothing but give myself anxiety, Rod. I did get a nice little message from Game Time today. Like I mentioned, I went to the Yankees game at Kauffman in Kansas City on Thursday. They sent a little message on the app. Hey, hope you enjoyed your experience yesterday. Had a great time and all that. So I thought that was very nice of them to check in the next day, make sure that I had a good time, and I did. Again, I'd highly recommend them. Use them for the first time this week to go to that game, and yeah, it was great.
Good stuff. All right, Cody, let's save some folks some money. Let's dip down to some low price drivers.
All right, Rod.
Let's
we could save money in the mid tier too. That's fine. I am going to go to a guy. I think that this could be a high risk, high reward play. So I'm going to toss that out there, maybe more of a GPP type of play. But give me Corey Heim in that 26 car that I just said all those bad things about. And really, that's kind of part of the argument here, Rod, because he's been in this car a couple times this season. And if you look, -7 points last time he was in it, 26.5 the time before that, -9, but 51.6, 3.7, 33. So really, if you look at the pattern where we've developed here, it's good, bad, good, bad, good, bad. Well, it's time for another good one, Rod. And the 51.6 points came at Richmond in the Toyota Care 250, one of the more comparable tracks. Starts in 6th place. So even if he qualifies well, he could still pay off big for you. Finishes 4th that day, 13 fastest laps. He was out front for 15 laps even, 51.6 points for you. You go back to Phoenix, Rod. Well, only 3.7 there, but he started 3rd place again. Had a good, solid start to the day. Even ran some fastest laps. Got caught up in one of those many wrecks. Didn't get a good finish, so the DFS day was not there for him. But he's got the ability to get it done. Then if we switch over to the Truck Series side of things, Rod, the last time they were out was at Gateway. Again, I think a very comparable track. Guess which truck driver won that race? Corey Heim. Led a ton of laps. You go back 2 previous truck races before that, it was a full Truck Series race at North Wilkesboro. Again, a shorter, flatter track, kind of comparable to this. Well, guess who won that one? Well, it was Corey Heim. So he's very good at this style of tracks in the truck, which granted he's good everywhere in the Truck Series, right? But specifically one at those races that are more recent truck races than anything else. And he's had some big ups in this car as well. The downs have been there, right? So you have to keep that in mind. And the Sam Hunt cars are just not always reliable. I just talked about with John Hunter. They're not as good as if he was getting in one of the JGR cars, which a couple of those starts have been in the JGR cars as well. But yeah, I like Corey Heim this week. I think at 8,000, he's got some upside to get you a good, strong finish like he did at Richmond. He can start good like he did at Phoenix. If he could put that finish together with it, could be a really strong day. At $8,000, I think he's a nice mid-tier guy for you.
And I agree with you in that aspect. And I'll even talk about him later on, too, spoiler alert, in the underdog part of it, because I most certainly agree that Corey Heim will have at least a decent day, if not a good day out of the whole thing.
Yeah. And I did go back and look, too. The Richmond race was in the 26, because I sort of, as I was talking, remembered that he was in the 19 for some of these races. But, yeah, 4th place at Richmond was in the 26 car. So, yeah, he's been strong even in that car, which I think is a really good sign.
Indeed. All right. So on the betting episode, I tried to sell you a vehicle with all of the bells and the whistles in that I offered a Ross Chastain as a top 5 car at a pretty decent number. But if you don't feel comfortable in that, may I offer you a step down into the sedan version of this, maybe the family car version of this. It doesn't have quite as many bells and whistles.
It's got roll-up windows. It's no
It's got
power
a sunroof.
locks. But
It's got a sunroof, but you have to crank it open.
It's mostly because there's a hole in the roof, but we'll call it a sunroof.
May I interest you in a Ross Chastain DFS model?
No, you can't. Thank you.
For $8,800. You're a hard sell, Cody. I don't care. I can't even toss in anything else other than no leather seats for this one. This has got to be a
Could
cloth.
you toss in at least a calling car? I know it's usually not considered much of an upgrade, but in this case,
cigarette lighters are a thing of the past. So I can offer you a cigarette lighter. I don't know if that's
yeah, sure.
A vape lighter. Is that a thing? I don't know. Anyways, Ross Chastain, $8,800 for this slate. And it's only because no one's going to play Ross Chastain. I believe that everybody other than Seth Woolcock, our buddy out there, is off of Ross Chastain. But here's the thing, okay? In Iowa, in the Xfinity car, he has experience in this. And granted, it's been in the 4 car, which is okay. I know it's not the 92 car, but he still knows how to drive vehicles, and he still knows how to drive them well. In the Xfinity Series, he has had days of places where he started 18th, finished 4th in the last race. In 2017, he started 22nd, finished 18th. In 2017, in the spring, or the first race of it, started 14th, finished 4th. So 18th, finished 10th. He's been able to put together decent DFS days. Again, we're not talking about him needing to blow the roof off, lead 600 laps of this 250 lap race, but he does need to at least finish better than he started, right? And he's been able to do that. He's had some truck experience on this. It hasn't been all that great. He was in the 44, the 50, the 19, the 08. So it hasn't been really that good for him. Last couple races had a suspension issue, or maybe he was suspended. I don't know. And then he was DQ'd from the 2019 race. He actually had led 141 laps in that race, DQ'd, and had to come up with the last place finish. So he led 141 laps around this place. That was pretty good.
DFS doesn't care about DQs, Rod. They award that when it crosses a checkered flag. So,
and not just that, but 141 laps, that's still a big day for you in DFS. I'll also bring up the 92 car in general here in the Xfinity Series, right? Guys like Bilicki and Bird and Decker, Natalie Decker and Honeycutt driving this car, Dexter Bean, right? Nick Lentz, like all these crazy guys and gals that are driving this car. And yet their DFS days have not been bad. In Sonoma, Josh Bilicki started 31st, finished 16th. In Portland, Bird started 35th, finished 21st. Even Natalie Decker in Charlotte started 37th, finished 29th. Bilicki and Darlington started 30th, finished 22nd. Finishing better than you started. Talladega 36th, 16th for Bilicki. That's what you're looking for in DFS. Martinsville, Dexter Bean
all those
started
guys
33rd.
$5,000.
Exactly. But it doesn't matter. I mean, as long as you got a guy like Ross Chastain, look, you don't think he can finish in the top 15 with this car if other people are finishing in the top 15 in this car? I mean, even if he does start in the 20s or the 30s, at least you know you're going to get place differential. So no one's going to want Ross Chastain. That's why you should grab him.
Yeah, I don't mind the play at all. I think it's a little rich for my loving, but again, GPP trying to be different. I think it could be. You look back to the Truck Series race that he won. Was at Darlington a few weeks ago, where really just kind of hung around all day. Massive chaos at the end, slips through, wins the race. The Phoenix race, again, very comparable to this track, ended up being a complete shit show like that. Allgaier blows the tire with 7 laps to go, and then there's a bunch of just wrecking and chaos and craziness happening. That's when a guy like Ross Chastain can capitalize. We've seen him do it before in the 92 car, where he capitalized and had a much better finish than really his entire day looked like it should be. So I will give you points on those at least, Rod. So I think he could be a good GPP play.
Thank you very much. See, I sold you on the Ross Chastain sedan. I didn't get the high end for you, but at least I got you into something you were comfortable with. And by the by, listen, I'm checking Twitter real quick because I wanted backup for what I was saying. But I did see that Larry McReynolds picked Chandler Smith as his winner for the Xfinity race too. So me and Larry, we're lockstep, buddy.
On the same page as America's crew chief. That's always a good thing.
I'll take that. All right, Cody, let's step down into the lower priced drivers, and who are you trying to sell us now?
Yeah, I'm going to try and sell you some Leland Honeyman Rod. You might not be able to afford that luxurious Ross Chastain over there, but a nice Leland Honeyman, only $5,100. We get you set up on a nice little low interest payment plan on this one. Look, Leland Honeyman's actually having a pretty solid season, 25.1 fantasy points per race. It's been pretty strong with not a ton of like real big downsides, right? So he's been in looks like every race this season, and only 3 races has he got 4 points, and 6.9 points. Nice. But otherwise, he's having good, strong days for you. 70 points. Well, that was Talladega, right? So that's probably not what we're going to get. But you go to a track like Dover, 28 points there. Charlotte, 21 points. 22 at Portland a couple of weeks ago. You go back. Was this? Oh boy, these fucking race names, Rod. I'll tell you what. If we could just fix this would be nice. That was the Phoenix race. Thank you. That's what I thought. Phoenix, again, chaos at the end of it. Guy like Leland Honeyman survives, starts 24th, finishes 11th, 45 points for you on the day. Pretty strong day there. So, yeah, he's just a guy that's been getting consistent points. And you go down to the bottom of the barrel and you look, you got Patrick Emmerling and Dawson Cram and Ryan Ellis. Like, meh, Haley Deegan, Garrett Smithley, Blaine Perkins. Like, these are the people around him, and he really just sticks out above all of these other guys as somebody that's continuing to get strong runs. This is that young motorsports car. They seem to have put some stuff behind it, and it's actually been running pretty well this season. And Leland Honeyman's been a pretty good guy. I think, I probably should know more about him, but I think he's like a late model guy, shorter, flatter track. That's where these guys kind of thrive. Leland Honeyman this week at 5,100 as a guy to, again, if you're going to get in Nemechek and Smith, or Nemechek and Allgaier, or Allgaier and Smith, whatever combination of those guys, you have to save some money somewhere, Rod. A guy like Leland Honeyman is a good place to save money, not have much of a downside, but have a little bit of an upside as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've talked about him before on this show too, in the way that it's one of those sneaky plays that a lot of people just kind of gloss over when they look at the bottom of this list, because they don't want to go that far down. One, because they don't really recognize the names, and 2, because they think to themselves, well, these guys are pretty much a waste of money. Leland Honeyman, not so much a waste of money. As is my next
Rod,
guy.
I would like to first read something before we get into this next one.
Sure.
So we're not recording this episode until Friday. I get a message Thursday morning, nice and early. Rod sends over the document. It goes, Xfinity DFS. I know it's early, much earlier than we usually send out documents, just for the record. But I found a play I liked, didn't want to forget it. So I open up the document, and my response to this was, I got to tell you, there's 38 drivers in this race, for the record, too. I got to tell you, if I had 37 guesses for which driver you wanted to create the document and run to it early on, this would not have been one of them. So, yeah, Rod has found a guy that he's in love with this week. Probably didn't have it on your bingo card, but the floor is yours, Rod.
So I said to him, I wanted to put in this driver, and I put in this driver, and that's Joey Gase. I don't know that we've ever really brought up Joey Gase's name. Exactly. Joey Gase. He is driving the oh my God, here I am. The 35 car this weekend. And look, here's the thing about Joey Gase. He is $5,000. Okay. $5,000 for Joey Gase. Almost the bottom. Underneath him, you get guys like Ellis, Cram, and Emmerling. I'm really not interested in any single one of those guys. But the thing is, for Joey Gase, he has not lost you points at all. And he's one of those guys at $5,000 that I can fit in. Just like we were saying, I can fit in anybody I want, essentially, for the price of a Joey Gase. He's probably going to end up starting in the back, right? That's kind of his MO. He started 37th at a couple weeks ago, 36, 38, 38, 33rd. So when you're starting dead last on the grid, all you can do is go up. As such, his last few fantasy point totals have been 24, 19, 22, 11, 20, and 17. On a $5,000 salary, 20 points is still 4 times what you're paying, right? That's a really good return on what you're getting, especially with a baseline of 20 points when you can go after 2 of those $10,000 guys. There are 5 drivers right now over the price of $10,000. You're going to need some salary relief. If I'm picking the guy that's starting in the very back of the field, and all he can do is move up. And even if he finishes last, he still gets me positive points because he's not going to lose me any points. A la Atlanta, started 33rd, finished 29th. Vegas started 38th, finished 30th. Richmond started 38th, finished 34th. Martinsville started 36th, finished 28th. Texas started 37th, finished 30th. The only time in which he's lost a place was at Talladega, where he started 17th, finished 18th. That's not even a very bad idea at all. He's only been in 6 races so far. His average start 33.2, his average finish 28.2. Again, if I'm fishing down at the very, very bottom of this list, I want somebody with some stability. Believe it or not, Joey Gase has stability, and it's one of those things where you can't really explain it. And not to mention, he does have some experience on this track, and I say some. He's had 17 races on this track, believe it or not. Average start for that, 29.4. Average finish, 25.3. But look at his last few. 2019, started 26th, finished 19th. I'm going to throw away that earlier 2019 race because he started 30th, finished 33rd, but he crashed out of that one. Before that, started 22nd, finished 17th. Before that, started 27th, finished 21st, 30th, 24th, 37th, 18th. I could continue on. I won't. But the point of the fact is he actually is still finishing better than he started in all of these Iowa races. He knows his track. 17. There's some that don't even know where Iowa is on a map. And this guy's been there 17 times on this track. So, yeah, give me the experience of Joey Gase on this track. Give him to me for $5,000 and watch me laugh as I beat you in DFS.
Hi, I just got swindled by this horrible car salesman over here on this Ross Chastain version of things. Could I trade? I found a much better value, a much maybe even a better car. I don't know. That I like a little bit more for the price, Rod. So if I could trade that in for this Joey Gase, you fucking sold me on that. So sign me up for Joey Gase this weekend, Rod. Words that I never thought I would say ever in my life.
Did you think that I was going to be able to build a case for Joey Gase like that?
I figured you must have had something strong to be so early on it. But yeah, I got nothing to add. I mean, you covered everything, and he's just locked into my plays right now.
So just a little behind the scenes on how I do things normally. When I first start to research a track, like I'll open up the previous drivers on the track, right? So I'll look and see how many starts a driver has. And then from there, I kind of build around that as well, because I want to see experience, if experience really does matter on this track. So I did that. I busted it open, and like even Joey Gase has more starts than Justin Allgaier on this track in general. Allgaier has 16, Gase has 17. And I was like, how can I work this in? Has he finished well? Has this been something that's been good? And then I was like, he hasn't finished well. I can't use him for the betting episode. But then I started to look at his place differential. I was like, I got to have him for DFS. So yeah, it goes.
So Rod was researching his bets for the Xfinity show. And that's when he found this DFS nugget. And he's like, oh yeah, buddy, we're creating this doc right now.
That's what I did. And I was like, let's do it. So yeah, that was fun. That's kind of how I do it. I normally will look and see that in the finishing positions and all that other stuff. So yeah, Joey Gase made the list just because I sorted a column in the right direction.
I love it, Rod. And by the way, $1,800 left. So we got some pretty expensive guys in here. You even threw in that sham of an expensive car in Ross Chastain, and still got money left to spend. So
wait, what's 1,800 plus 8,800? Somebody do some quick math on that one.
You could upgrade to Cole Custer, Rod, who we might talk about here in a minute over on the underdog side of things. So
that's
if you wanted to do that for
$10,000 drivers.
Yeah, exactly. Because you're saving a lot of money on Joey Gase and Leland Honeyman. And again, not just going to the bottom of the board and clicking the 2 cheapest guys, but actually finding some value at the bottom of things. And I think that's one of the best parts of this show on the DFS side of things, is when we can dig into these guys, because you're not going to talk about Joey Gase ever on this show, like on the betting side of things. Maybe at a super speedway, but even in Xfinity, we only get top 5s. Like, that's still tough. You don't get the top 10s like you do in the Cup Series. Like, this was a great place to you spent 5 minutes talking about Joey Gase, and he's probably going to win people some money this week, Rod. So I like it.
Beautiful. All right, get out your pen and paper. We're going to go over these DFS plays that will leave you $1,800 at the top of the board. Cody started you out with John Hunter Nemechek at 10,800 for his high price driver. I gave you Chandler Smith at 10.5. And then Cody gave you Corey Heim at 8,000 even. I tried to sell you a Ross Chastain sedan at $8,800. Cody talked you into Leland Honeyman at $5,100. And I gave you the best car that you will never think that you're going to drive again in Joey Gase at $5,000. All right, Cody, let's turn our attention to our underdog fantasy plays. Of course, the rules are simple. They give you a projected finishing position. You select better than or worse than. Will the driver finish on either end of that spectrum? Build them all up. Pick 8 of them. We're going to give you 6. You still have room for 2 more that you could pick on your own and even get a couple wrong. So if one of these are wrong, 2 of these are wrong, you could still win with that pick 8. So I love it. And actually, look, Cody, you could see that I'm a little more optimistic today than I was yesterday.
You are only one worse than for Rod in this show. So I do like that the optimism is picked up on a Friday. Rod, I have a question for you.
Yes,
First or second place, would that be on the better than or worse than side of 10.5?
I believe that would be on the better than side.
Then sign me up for Sheldon Creed. 10.5, Rod. What? Oh, this is criminal. What do you think we're doing here? Give me Sheldon Creed better than 10.5. Look, I talked about him a ton yesterday on the show. I am all aboard the Sheldon Creed train this week, Rod. I think that this is another example of we're not betting him at minus 1.5 or a minus 110. Like, we're not picking him to finish better than 2.5 here. 10.5. You got some room to work with. I think he's got a chance to win this race. I think he's going to run good, but all he has to do is finish inside the top 10. I know there's times that can be a little bit scary for Sheldon Creed, but Rod, that's 7 times he's finished inside the top 6 this season, even. Second again last week after, yet another second place finish for him, but he's good at finishing second. Go back to Phoenix, he finished 3rd there. Places like Richmond, the DNF, right? That is going to come into play. But last year at Phoenix, 2nd place in the fall, 3rd place in the spring, 2nd place at Martinsville, 6th place at Richmond. All of those are better than 10.5. And then his truck series stuff on short flats, 1 Gateway in 2020, 1 Phoenix in 2020, 1 Gateway in 2021, led 142 laps that day, led 106 laps in the trucks at Phoenix in 2022. Very good on short flat tracks. Don't forget, Rod, he's in one of those fast JGR Toyotas. He's going to be good. All he has to do is finish inside the top 10. That's it. Sheldon Creed can do. He doesn't have to win for this one, Rod, which is, it's tough for him. I get it, right? But it's a Sheldon Creed type of week. He's going to show up. He's going to look good this weekend. Sheldon Creed better than 10.5.
Yeah, again, for me, I love that you love him. Let's put it that way. I don't want to be burned by my favorite Canadian driver that's not from Canada, that's actually from California. I just don't want that. I don't want that juju. I have to have a good weekend this weekend as I'm going away for a while. So I want to love what I'm watching. So you love it.
I do love it, Rob.
I can't buy that one. I need to drop down. All right. I love how we turn this into a car salesman or a car sales.
Hey, you know what? We just go with the flow. I love it.
Yeah, we just pick up on whatever theme is there and we'll run with it. All right. So
what model should we avoid, Rob?
The one model we should avoid is a Ford. This is a Ford model that we should avoid. I switched this in there because I realized that I put this one last. So I want to start with the negative.
Start with negativity. That's a good.
Yeah. Let's start with negativity. Let's ease our way back into the positive. So Riley Herbst is a guy that we love. We want to have beers with if he drinks beers. I don't know, maybe Yoo-hoo. I don't know what kids drink nowadays, but I want to have a drink with Riley Herbst because he's amazing. He's won us a ton of money in the past. He's been able to do very well for himself, but just lately has not been there for the 98 car, unfortunately. Maybe Monster Energy, that's probably what he drinks. So yeah, his finishing position is set at 11.5. I got to go with the worst then in this instance. And it's sad, but true in that, especially recently, right? Last week at Sonoma, it's a road course. I get it, 13th, 10th, but Charlotte 38th. He did have a good finish in Darlington, right? That kind of led you to believe that better days were on the way. And then of course he turned around and crashed out at Charlotte. But before that, 16th at Dover, 27th at Texas, 25th at Martinsville, 13th at Richmond. Overall, his average finishing position right now, 16.8, which already is tough for a guy like Riley Herbst. And even worse when you consider that his average start position is 10.4. So he's not hanging on to his starting positions by the end of that race. Something is happening, whether it's him getting shuffled, whether it's bad calls on the pits, or whether it's or just overall chicanery. It's happening to Riley Herbst. And so it's just tough. And then on this track in general, his average finished 9.5, but he's only been on this track twice. In 2018, he finished 6th in the 18. Again, this is the 18 car. This is the Joe Gibbs car. This is not the 98 that he's in right now, which is a fast car. But if we're going to argue that Joe Gibbs is better than anything in the world, which is not true because JRM is, but then, a 6th place finish is where you want him. The year after that, in 2019, a 13th place finish, which by my calculations is worse than 11.5. It's just not in the cards for a top 10 finish, I think, this week for Riley Herbst. Can he do it? Is he talented enough? Talent is not even in question. It's just luck. It's just calls on the strategy and not getting caught up in other people's stuff, which is all happened to him recently. So I don't think that gets any better, especially on this brand new track for a lot of folks trying to feel things out. So yeah, give me Riley Herbst worse than 11.5. Not happy about it though.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. Again, if you're going to pick a side, it definitely has to be the worst on side for him. He can go out and have a great day. We know that he's capable of it, but it's just not been happening very much this season. And so I think you do have to continue to fade him. Rod, a guy that I'm not fading, Mr. Sammy Smith. I'm all aboard the Sammy Smith train as of late. Getting back into this fella. 11.5 is his better than. All he has to do, Rod, finish inside of the top 11. 14 races into the Xfinity Series season. 8 times he's finished inside the top 10 this season, Rod. He's actually been a pretty solid and consistent driver. And when he doesn't finish inside the top 11, he finishes last, basically. He's out of the race. And 2 of those outside of the top 10s are Daytona and Talladega. So you toss those out. Had a rough day at Sonoma. That's a road course. Darlington, he did get caught up in something there and had a bad day. Coda was one of the other ones, so that's another road course. If you narrow it down to just the ovals, he's having a very solid season. Maybe he's not going to win the race. That's a little bit maybe even an outlier, although I did pick him on the Xfinity show to be one of the guys that could win this race at the odds that he's at. But you look back at what he's done here lately, a 3rd place at Charlotte. Phoenix, one of the comparable tracks, Rod, 9th place. 8th place at Texas, 7th place at Martinsville, 9th place at Richmond. Again, not overly impressive 1st, 2nd, or 3rds for most of these, but inside the top 11, that's all you're looking for Sammy Smith. By the way, a kid out of Johnston, Iowa, right down the road from Newton there. So if you go back to last season too, 5th place at New Hampshire, 1 at Phoenix, leading 92 laps. Well, those were in JGR cars, but you just said JRM cars are faster than JGR cars, Rod. So if that is the case, it's not. Then that makes my point even more.
You gotta love it. All right, fine. Then I'm gonna continue down that road. You opened the can, I'm jumping back in it. Brandon Jones, another JRM car there. His finishing position. This one was tough for me to really want to commit to until I was like, you know what, screw it, I'm going all in because I love the potential of Brandon Jones. This is almost the same argument as Riley Herbst, which is why when I was building this argument, I thought this sounds a lot like I'm dismissing everything I just said with Riley Herbst because Brandon Jones has been on such the wrong end of so many bad things lately, especially the last couple of weeks, right? Where he's crashed out of both of the road course races. But then you say, yeah, but that's road course, right? You can't compare apples to oranges or even apples to bananas or pineapples or whatever fruit you want to compare it to. But I could go back to Charlotte where he finished as the runner-up in that race, right? That was a good race for him there. Darlington, he finished 10th. But then you could say, well, Rod in Dover, he ended up finishing 19th after being on the pole. What a terrible race for him. Yeah, it was. I mean, he led 13 laps in that. And so I can take that anvil in that instance. Texas was a 13th place finish, which is still better than the 13 and a half that you're getting at that one. And then you could point to Martinsville and say, but Martinsville was a disaster for him. He crashed out, started on the pole there. Let's just hope Brandon Jones doesn't start on the pole because when he starts on the pole, bad things are ahead for him. So, and then the same thing, Richmond, he starts on the outside pole. He crashes out or not crashed out. He had engine problems in that one. He only finished 42 laps of the 250 before his engine blew up there. So tons and tons of bad luck. I will say Phoenix though, 7th place finish, Vegas, 9th place finish. The difference in this is that I still think JRM is the class of the field. Brandon Jones picked up some momentum in Charlotte. I feel like he should have been able to carry that, but you get 2 road courses on the schedule back to back after that. It's like, hey, by the way, great job on the oval. Go out and be on the road and crash out of both of those races. So hopefully he's able to find his rhythm again that he did on the oval, because I think a top 10 finish is very, very likely for Brandon Jones in this instance. So you're giving me 3 extra positions to play with here for a car that should be inside of the top 10 at the end of the day, given the fact that, like I said, 2nd at Charlotte, 10th at Darlington, 13th at Texas, and then that 7th at Phoenix is very encouraging as well. We know he can do it. We know he's in the car to do it. He's just going to have to do it. That's all there is to it. And like I said, the difference between what I think that Riley Herbst can do and what I think that Brandon Jones can do is that I think that Brandon Jones is in much stronger equipment to be able to do it in than is Riley Herbst. So give me Brandon Jones better than 13th and a half.
You know how much I love Brandon Jones, Rod, so not going to argue with you. Look, I know that we looked at this model of Ford over here earlier. You know, it's not as reliable. It doesn't do as good. But let me walk you to this side of the showroom, Rod. We got this Ford over here. It's probably not going to be the best Ford you've ever been in. It's probably not going to lead every lap in this race. But you know what? Every time you need to get somewhere inside the top 5, it is going to fucking get you there, Rod. It's not always going to be the prettiest thing, but it's going to be top 5 at the end of the day. This Ford is called Cole Custer, better than 5.5. Look, Rod, that's really the entire case is Cole Custer, just such like, I don't know. It's so hard to explain, but like, he's just going to top 5 the hell out of you and not win any of these races, I guess. I don't know. Like, even when he leads 95 laps at Dover, where does he finish, Rod? Fuck 5th place. That's all you need him to do here. We hardly ever talk about him on the betting episode because he's always like one of the favorites, and his numbers for like top 5s and top 3s aren't that great, but like, he's going to do it every week, but just hard to bet on. So I don't know. You look back at what he's done this season on ovals. 3rd place at Darlington. Well, that's inside the top 5 right there. Charlotte was a rough day, 32nd, but Dover, like I mentioned, led 95 laps, had a great car. Well, he still finishes in 5th place. That's what you're looking for. Phoenix, comparable track, starts on the pole, leads 61 laps, finishes in 5th place. Again, that's all you need from him. Texas starts in 2nd place, finishes in 5th place. You go back to Las Vegas, Rod, starts on the pole, doesn't lead a single lap, finishes 2nd place there, but still, again, inside of the top 5. That's what you're looking for Cole Custer. Of course, he was last season's champion by winning the race at Phoenix, where he led 96 laps at the end of the season. Go back to Richmond earlier last season, 5th place finish there. Like, just consistently getting it done and top 5ing the hell out of everything. That's all you're looking for here with Cole Custer. So I hope that this nice, reliable model can get you where you need to go each and every time you step into it, Rod. Give me Cole Custer better than 5.5.
Cole Custer is the car you buy when you give the wife the expensive car and you get the one that just gets you back and forth to work, that you're not trying to make a statement.
Not overly expensive. It's not here to impress anybody for sure, but hey, every time I need to get to work, get to the store, it's going to get me there just in time, and that's all you need.
It's the one you park way in the back and your buddies go, hey, can we ride in your car? No, that's good. We're not going to worry about that today. Can I just ride with you? That's it.
You don't want to ride on this thing, but hey, it'll get you there if you need to.
Well, my next model does not have many miles on it, and it's untested, and I'm not sure if it's going to get us to where we need to go, but I feel pretty good about it, right? None of the lights are on, no check engine lights are on, so I feel like I can get in and get where I got to go. Give me Corey Heim, better than 12.5. I mean, obviously you talked about Corey Heim earlier. You kind of laid out all your cases for the DFS portion of this. And my only real solid proof of anything is that 4th place finish in Richmond. The potential for him to do it is there, right? He started 3rd in Phoenix. We all thought he was going to turn the world on fire in Phoenix. Didn't get a good finish there, finished 22nd. But Richmond, I think Richmond proved the potential of Corey Heim. And that 4th place finish, he led 15 laps in that race. There's so many good things about Corey Heim that we can say. Those Sam Hunt cars, surprisingly better than what we expect them to be with good drivers in it. Although the 26 car has had Sage Karam in it. Jeffrey Earnhardt got a top 8 in this one as well. Corey Heim finished 13th in Las Vegas, which is not not hitting his point. It's not hitting the 12.5, but still a position outside of that. Again, Corey Heim with that 4th place at Richmond. Outside of that, it's been kind of rough for Earnhardt, Heim, and Nemechek. Dean Thompson was in that car once. Ed Jones just finished 15th in Sonoma in this car. So it's a weak case to make, but I believe that the potential for Corey Heim is there to have a top 10 car at the end of the day, to be able to put himself in there. He's a good enough driver to run with these guys. He's not intimidated. He knows how to get around and do what he needs to do to finish inside of the top 10, no matter what series he's in. So I'm kind of, this is one of those ones where if you flex play this one, please flex play it, because if it doesn't hit and you're like, damn you, Rod, you screwed my whole underdog. And no, I didn't, because you had a flex play and you were able to miss this one. But I think it's going to hit. I really do. Like that, I said, that 4th place at Richmond is his upside. That's what he needs to hit. I think he can do it. It's been a few weeks for him. So I think put him back in that car, give him an opportunity to do it. No truck race this weekend, so no split attention. So he's fully focused on this Xfinity car. So give me Corey Heim better than 12.5.
Yeah, again, the not the most reliable vehicle all the time, but it gets you there fast when it does get you there, Rod. So that's what you're looking for in this case. But yeah, I do like it. I think if the car can make it to the end, Heim can be better than 12.5. I made the case for him on the DFS side of things earlier, so I do like him this week as well. Yeah, love it, Rod. This was a nice episode of selling vehicles to all of you. Hope you enjoyed it.
No idea we were going to wake up this morning and become car salesmen. I'm not.
I feel like they wanted us to try something different. Rod, should we just submit this as trying something different? We took the car salesman angle on an entire episode, and everybody stopped listening after that.
Which is fine. Just download. If you guys don't get past this, then just download it. That's all they care about, anyways. They just want to see the download. They don't care how many of you listen. Now, granted, we do. We want you to listen. We do. But they want the downloads. So, all right. Get out your pen and paper again. We are going to go over our underdog fantasy plays for this race. Cody started you out with Sheldon Creed better than 10.5. I said Riley Herbst would be worse than 11.5 with a tear in my eye. Cody said Sammy Smith would be better than 11.5. I said Brandon Jones would be better than 13.5. Cody said that Cole Custer would be the most reliable Ford you'll ever drive at 5.5, better than 5.5. I said Corey Heim would finish better than 12.5. And those are your underdog and DFS plays for this Hy-Vee Perks 250 Xfinity Series race from the Iowa Speedway. Cody, have we sold enough cars today to meet our quota?
I sure hope so, Rod.
I do not want to have to go into the boss's office to explain to them why I have not moved enough vehicles yet this month to keep my job.
Yes, go purchase your vehicles over on Underdog, and if you're not tired of us, come back tomorrow for more bonus bets for the Cup Series. I toss in an Xfinity Series bonus bet that I found already that I like, Rod. So, yeah, we'll be back tomorrow. And let's go make some money this week in the Hy-Vee Perks Nebraska Corn is Better 250.
Gotta love it. All right, Cody. Well, then, as we let everybody go, remind everyone where they can find you outside in the rest of the world.
Yeah, follow me over on the X at @Husker_Zeeb. You can find all my stuff there. There's a lot of it, Rod. Got some NASCAR stuff articles out for Sports Gambling Podcast. Lacrosse, go get those plays as well. That's been a lot of fun. And yeah, that's a lot of shit. So follow it all. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Cody's in the weeds, man. Lacrosse is definitely in the weeds. You have to love the DJ nature of Cody Zeeb. Follow me on Twitter. Link in the bio, everything I got going on, whether it's here, Sportsbook Review, whether it's in between media. Check out our AFL content. Cody and I both cranking that out over there for the Arena Football League. Great stuff happening over there. Back tomorrow with a bonus episode of bets for you for the Cup Series. And like Cody said, one bonus Xfinity Series if you can get that in time. Till then, everyone, we'll see you tomorrow. Let's go racing and let it ride.